over to look into the tomb, and she saw two angels in white standing where the body of Jesus had been lying, one at the head and the other at the feet. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." And when she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be a gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. And Jesus said to her, "Do not hold on to me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." And Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." She went and told them he had said these things to her. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. Grace, peace, and mercy are yours from the triune God. Amen. He is risen indeed. Alleluias right now are being screamed and shouted in churches all across the world because it is Easter morning, and that is what we do. We cry, Alleluia, 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 with so much surety and confidence, and sometimes I wonder if there are people out there that think that this is all the Christian walk is about. We put on our hats or our new dresses, get the kids fitted up with new shoes, we comb our hair and get ready to go to church looking like peeps straight out of the box. And we shout, Alleluia, and we celebrate because Jesus has conquered the grave, and we celebrate with Easter bunnies and pictures and brunches. And to the untrained eye, it might seem that this happy and excited confidence is the norm, or even the only way to be a Christian. And I'm not poo-pooing any of that. We should celebrate. The powers of sin and death, violence and hateful greed have been exposed as lies by Jesus' great power of love, and has shown us a different way. We should shout it from the rafters, from the hilltops. It is good. Alleluia. But I want to pause for a second too, because that is not all we are about. We are not all shiny, happy, and cheery every single day, and even the cheeriest Christian is not cheery and happy all the time. That, in my opinion, is just not realistic or authentic. We all know someone who seems certain of God and sure of the answers all the time, but I promise you they are not. At least not every single second. Though we profess today in the risen Lord, it is not the only way to be a faithful follower of God. If you are new to worshiping with us today or have never been to an Easter at an ELCA church before, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you are coming in with one idea of what it means to be a Christian and what it means to be a follower of God, and assume that the only way to do this thing is Easter morning alleluias with shiny, happy faces on, just want you to know you are coming in halfway through the whole story. You missed the call to service and love for the neighbor on Maundy, Thursday, the pain and doubt and hardship of Good Friday, and the difficult waiting of Holy Saturday. So though we cry Alleluia today, just a few hours ago we were quiet, hurt, wondering, uncertain, and searching for God. This is really the way we practice our faith. This is the whole story, not just the photo-worthy pressed pants and new shirt on Easter morning. Our faith is not just shiny and pretty happy faces, though some would rather us believe that. In reality, to know the hope and alleluia of Easter, we first need to acknowledge the grit, the mess, in the uncertainty of life. And our Easter text today, and the way it sort of drastically changes partway through the story, to me speaks a lot to a real and authentic proclamation of the gospel that reveals so much more than a shiny, happy plastic Jesus or shiny, happy Christians. Because in the first half, everything is ordered and clean and tidy and certain, but also lifeless. The second half, however, is chaotic and questioning, pain and a mess, but it is full of hopeful life. Just look. Everything about the first half is really loaded with details. Who goes where? Everyone is accounted for. There is an exact orderliness about it. It describes in certainty who got there first, who ran faster than who. Reiterates for some reason that the linens were all folded up nice and neat on either side of where Jesus was laid. But the tomb is empty. There is no life there. It's sterile. It's not until Peter and the other disciples leave and Mary falls apart on the ground in pain that we discover what the Easter story is actually about. I picture Mary on the dirty ground, stuff she was bringing to the tomb, forgotten and thrown aside. She is crying, searching for answers and what happened to her friend and teacher. She is a mess. Hair is stuck to her cheek. She is flush. She is gasping and grasping for something to cling to. She has been deserted in the garden alone. Her friends have left her, and she does not know where her teacher is. And she is cold and confused, angry, frightened, and scared. And that's when life takes hold. The seed of faith planted in the dark ground of the tomb has started to break into the light for her. She meets the two messengers in the tomb. She is still desperately looking for Jesus, begging for an answer. "They have taken away my Lord," she screams, exhausted, "and I do not know where he is." She is searching. She is lost. She is without a hope. But then she turns around. And here's where it gets good, Easter people, because Jesus is standing there. The only problem is she doesn't know who he is. She doesn't know who he is. The very person that she has been frantic for. In her pain, in her desperation, she does not recognize him. She does not see him. And this, my friends, is the real story of Easter. Because who hasn't been there? Who hasn't been desperate in searching for God? Who and wondered what could possibly go wrong next? Who hasn't been hurt and lashed out screaming? Who hasn't been abandoned by their friends when you went for them for help? Who hasn't been confused? Who hasn't wished that things had gone a little different? Who hasn't searched? Who hasn't missed God right in front of them for any number of reasons, only to realize later that God was there all along? Who hasn't been like Mary in the garden? Lucky for us, and lucky for Mary, that is not where the story ends. If the story tells us anything, it tells us that it is not our recognizing God that matters. It is not our certainty. It is not our knowing all the answers that we remember today. It's not our being all put together. Mary wasn't. It is God recognizing us. It's God's certainty of God's love for us that we remember today. Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, she screamed. And Jesus said to her, Mary. And then she saw him. Actually recognized him. Then she could actually say, Alleluia, he is risen. But not until she had gone through the hurt. After she had gone into the tomb, after she had wrestled with the uncertainty, after she had broken down. It was only after she had heard her name and felt known totally. In all that hurt, that is when she saw Jesus and knew him. And isn't that just the real and honest truth of our faith? Yes, we say Alleluia today. Yes, we hope in a risen Christ. Yes, we celebrate and know that Jesus defeated the powers of sin and death that would try and keep us in the ground under the weight of the whole world. But it is not only that. That is not telling the whole truth of Easter. The whole truth is Good Friday. The whole truth is Maundy, Thursday. The whole truth is the waiting on Saturday. Mary didn't just walk down to the tomb one morning and have everything go according to plan. First, the world fell apart. First, she panicked. And I know that might not sound like the Easter message that you were expecting today, but maybe it's the Easter message you need today. Because people of God, we worship a Jesus that doesn't just meet us when we have all the answers, when our lives are tidy and we know and recognize God in our lives clearly. We worship a Jesus that meets us when we are broken, when we are questioning, when we are in the tomb, when we are lost, when we are deserted, when we are wondering where Jesus is, when we have wondered where they have placed him, when we are not sure if he is for us at all. When we wonder where his people have gone and what in the world they could be doing. When we do not recognize him even when he is right in front of us. We have a Jesus that knows us, loves us, calls us by name. So yes, church. Alleluia. He is risen indeed this Easter morning, but also, alleluia, he has sent us out to love and be loved, even in the hardship. Alleluia, on that Good Friday, dark night of the soul, where we are deserted by our friends, and we desert our friends. Alleluia, as we fall broken in the dirt, screaming and wondering. Alleluia, even when we do not recognize him, he still knows us and loves us. Alleluia, we are not abandoned and forsaken by those we thought we could count on. Alleluia, when we betray our friends and hide in fear. Alleluia, despite and because of our doubts. Alleluia. Though we are still not sure about some of his followers. Alleluia. There's room at the table for all of us. And we have hope to share. Alleluia. 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 Amen. For worship Sundays at 9:30 at New Hope Presbyterian Church.